What if I told you that the water inside your cells is physically changing its geometric shape right now?
Just literally right this second.
Yeah, right this second, based purely on the information you just scrolled past on your phone.
It is wild to think about.
It really is, that your biology is literally bending to the frequency of the data you consume. Welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive, everyone. We are taking a stack of your sources today, specifically focusing on Chapter 4 of a really fascinating text.
And our mission today is to decode what the author calls the gateway to the divine.
Exactly. We are exploring a conceptual map of human potential, and it's centered around something called the green diamond.
Right, which isn't a physical diamond, just to be clear.
No, it's a conceptual framework. And by the time we are done here today, you are going to completely rethink where your best ideas come from, why your doom scrolling is like a literal barrier to your own genius, and how to physically tune your body to catch a signal from outside this reality.
It is a lot to unpack.
It is. I'll be honest, looking through these notes, this model flips the usual script on human growth completely upside down. I mean, we always hear about climbing the ladder of success, right? Just grinding it out step by step.
Yeah, the hustle culture mentality.
Exactly. But this text just throws the ladder away entirely. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is this green diamond, and where does it sit in the grand scheme of reality?
So the author is mapping out a completely non-linear landscape. To understand this green diamond, we really have to look at the architecture of the whole model they've built.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Picture a vertical structure. At the very bottom, firmly anchored in the material world, is the red diamond.
And this represents, like, our everyday stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the 3D, tangible human experience. It is your daily tasks, your physical body, paying bills, the friction of everyday life.
The grind.
The grind, yeah. And then, hovering at the very top of this structure, way above the red diamond, is the blue diamond.
Okay, red at the bottom, blue at the top. What is the blue?
That is the fifth dimensional realm. You could call it the divine, the realm of spirit, or just infinite consciousness. It is completely formless.
Right. So we have the physical, heavy grind at the bottom and this infinite, formless consciousness at the top. Where does the green diamond actually come in?
It sits perfectly between them. It intersects the top point of the red diamond and the bottom point of the blue diamond.
Ah, so it's a connector.
Exactly. The green diamond is a fourth dimensional bridge. It isn't a hard, tangible object like the red diamond down below. It acts as a gateway, like a frequency that allows the human experience to communicate with that infinite fifth dimension.
I see the source material also brings in these ancient alchemical elements to describe these three diamonds, which I found really interesting. It maps the physical red diamond down at the bottom to fire.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because fire is combustion, it's consumption, it's action, it's friction.
Right, it's very 3D, very material. And then the blue diamond, that formless divine realm at the top, that corresponds to air.
Because it's invisible.
Invisible, omnipresent, and it sustains life without being confined to a specific shape.
Okay, so that leaves the green diamond in the middle.
Which corresponds to water.
Water.
Yeah, water is the ultimate bridge. It is fluid, it yields, it reflects, and it can shift between physical states, from solid ice to intangible vapor.
Right, it connects the solid and the gas.
Exactly. In this model, water represents emotion, intuition, and the flow between the material red and the ethereal blue.
Now, the text mentions that this isn't just a metaphor for individual personal growth, but it's actually tied to a massive cosmic timeline. It mentions the precession of the equinoxes, which I gotta say sounds incredibly dense.
Does sound like a mouthful.
What is this astrological shift the author is actually talking about here?
Okay, so the precession of the equinoxes is essentially the Earth's cosmic wobble.
Wobble.
Yeah, think of a spinning top on a table. As it spins, it doesn't just stay perfectly straight, right?
Right.
The axis slowly rotates or wobbles in a circle.
Oh, right. It kind of leans and traces a circle at the top.
Exactly. The Earth does the exact same thing, but one complete wobble takes about 26,000 years.
Wow. Okay. That is a slow wobble.
Very slow. And because of that slow wobble, our perspective of the background stars the zodiac. It slowly shifts backward over millennia.
Tracking. So how does this relate to the diamonds?
Well, for roughly the last 2,000 years, that wobble has pointed us directly at the constellation of Pisces. And Pisces is a water sign.
Oh, I see. So humanity has basically been sitting in a water era, which aligns perfectly with the green diamond.
Exactly. We have been in an age focused on developing that emotional, intuitive bridge. But the wobble is currently moving us into a transition window We are entering the age of Aquarius.
Right, the famous age of Aquarius.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. Despite having aqua in the name, Aquarius is actually an air sign.
Wait, really? I always assumed it was water.
Most people do, but it's an air sign. And air aligns with the blue diamond, the divine, the intellect, the higher frequencies of pure consciousness.
Okay, let me make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. If the red diamond is like my computer hardware sitting on my desk,
Okay, good analogy.
and the blue diamond is the massive infinite cloud server holding all the data of the universe,
Yep.
the green diamond is the Wi-Fi signal. It's the invisible frequency bridge between my physical desk and the cloud.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
But here's what I really don't understand, and maybe you can clear this up. If we are cosmically moving into this air sign, this blue diamond era of higher consciousness, why does the world feel so completely chaotic right now?
It's a very fair question.
Right. I mean, if this is a natural celestial upgrade, why does everyone feel more disconnected and stressed out than ever? Shouldn't we be feeling enlightened?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text argues that the chaos is a direct symptom of humanity resisting the upgrade.
Resisting it. How so?
We are clinging to the heavy, familiar 3D structures of the red diamond. When faced with a massive evolutionary shift like this, society's default mechanism is to just double down on lower frequencies, specifically fear and scarcity.
Oh, so we panic and grab onto what we know.
Exactly. We're trying to navigate a fifth-dimensional shift using 3D control mechanisms. We are trying to grip water and air with our bare hands, essentially.
It's like we're trying to fix a weak Wi-Fi connection by hitting the physical computer monitor with a hammer.
That's exactly it. The bridge is open, the green diamond is available, but the text emphasizes that crossing it requires active, conscious participation. It doesn't just happen to you automatically because the star is shifted.
Okay, so if the green diamond is a bridge, there must be traffic flowing across it. Let's get into the mechanics of that crossing. How does a person down here in the red diamond actually initiate a download from the blue diamond?
It operates as a two-way street, and the author categorizes the traffic using a very specific framework. From our side, the human side, we reach up by projecting what the text calls the A's.
The A's, like the letter A.
Yes. These are energetic frequencies we have to generate to open the gateway. The primary ones are awareness, anticipation, abundance, and adaptability.
Okay, and there are some advanced ones in the text too, right? Like awakening, assistance, acknowledgement, and appreciation.
Yeah, it's a whole family of frequencies.
Rather than listing them all out in detail, let's just look at anticipation for a second. How does simply anticipating something open a multidimensional gateway? That
Yeah.
sounds a bit too simple.
Well, think about the actual physical and mental state of anticipation. When you are truly anticipating something wonderful, your entire being is open, right? You're receptive and you're forward-looking.
Yeah, you're on your toes in a good way.
Exactly. Now compare that to the frequency of fear, which is basically bracing for impact. Fear contracts you. It closes you off. Anticipation expands you.
Okay, I feel that difference.
When you generate a high-frequency state, like anticipation or profound appreciation, you are tuning your internal receiver to catch the signal from the blue diamond. And when you tune that dial correctly, the divine answers back by sending down the eyes.
The eyes, these are the divine downloads. Intuition, inspiration, innovation.
Invention, intention, imagination, impulse, and integration. Yes,
So the A's go up, the eyes come down.
exactly. When an artist or a brilliant scientist describes getting into the zone, they often describe an epiphany that seemingly came out of nowhere, a sudden flash of absolute clarity.
Like a light bulb moment.
Right. And the text posits that this is not their biological brain just crunching numbers in the background. It is a literal download of formless information from the blue diamond, traveling down through the green diamond bridge and being received by an open, anticipating mind.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Are we absolutely sure inspiration is coming from a fifth-dimensional cloud server? I mean, isn't it far more likely that the physical brain is just quietly rearranging old data while we take a shower or go for a walk?
I see where you're going with this.
It feels a lot like when you think you've invented a brilliant new meal, but you really just threw yesterday's leftovers into a pan and added a new hot sauce, you know?
Yeah.
You didn't pull a recipe from the ether. You just remixed what was already in the fridge.
That skepticism makes complete logical sense, especially if you're looking at it from a red diamond framework.
Right, from the materialist view.
Exactly. But the author draws a very hard line between incremental improvement and true innovation. Remixing leftovers is incremental. It's taking known data and rearranging it.
Okay.
But true innovation requires bringing the entirely formless into the formed. It requires pulling a concept that has zero precedent in the 3D world into existence.
Give me an example of that.
Think about the leap from candlelight to the electric light bulb. The light bulb was not the result of a candle maker finding a slightly better type of wax or a more efficient wick.
Oh, I see.
Or think about transportation. The people who owned massive horse and carriage empires, they did not slowly iterate their way into inventing the internal combustion engine.
Because they only knew horses and wax. That was their whole paradigm.
Exactly. They were completely trapped inside their specific fields of known data. The paradigm shifting leaps the true green diamond moments they must come from entirely outside the existing sphere of knowledge.
Right.
You can't create something fundamentally unprecedented using only the data that already exists.
Which brings up a really counterintuitive point from the sources, and I found this fascinating. The text points out that of all the eyes that can drop into our minds, there is one that acts as a massive blockage to all the others, and that is information.
Yes. Information itself. In our modern era, we worship information, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. We want more data all the time.
But the author argues that when our minds become hypersaturated with existing data, it breeds doubt, anxiety, and this false sense of certainty about what is possible.
Because we think we already know everything based on the data.
Right. When you are obsessed with the data of what has been, you lose the ability to catch the frequency of what could be. Information overload basically creates static on the green diamond frequency.
So if an over-reliance on existing data blocks our connection to the divine, this framework paints a pretty terrifying picture of artificial intelligence.
This raises an important question about our current technological era, for sure. The text issues a profound warning about our trajectory here.
Because AI is just information.
What is AI, fundamentally? It is the ultimate aggregator of existing information. It can only rearrange the leftovers in the fridge.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Outsourcing our creativity to AI feels like standing in front of a giant funhouse mirror.
That's a great way to put it.
The mirror can stretch your reflection, it can distort it, it can mix it with other reflections in the room to make something that looks kind of novel. But a mirror can never invite a totally new person into the room.
Because it only reflects what's already there.
Exactly. It has no soul, it has no green diamond bridge to connect to the blue divine.
And by handing over our writing, our art, our music, and our problem solving to these closed-loop algorithms, we are atrophying our own spiritual musculature.
Like using a GPS for so long, you completely lose your innate sense of direction.
Precisely. But instead of just forgetting how to drive to the grocery store, we are trading the sacred human ability to bring formless inspiration into reality for a very fast, very efficient synthetic imitation.
We're cutting off our own Wi-Fi.
We are. And the source material warns heavily against surrendering our senses to virtual headsets or environments controlled by an external programmer. Because a programmer in a basement somewhere may not have your spiritual best interests at heart.
Yeah.
When you let an algorithm feed you your reality, you sever your own connection to the higher dimensions.
Okay, so realizing the severity of this modern disconnect. If the bridge is this sensitive, and if doom scrolling and AI-generated information create so much static, how does a physical, biological human body actually receive this non-physical 5D signal?
That is the big question.
What is the physical antenna inside of us?
To answer that, we have to look back at the elemental nature of the green diamond itself. The element is water. To understand how to bridge the gap, we must look at the physical properties of water itself.
And this leads right into the experiments of Vida Austin mentioned in the text, which completely blew my mind when I read through this.
Her work is groundbreaking.
It is. She doesn't just, talk nicely to a glass of water. She conducts these rigorous experiments where she holds a very specific conscious intention or even places a petri dish of water over a photograph. Then she flash freezes the water just before it completely solidifies. And the ice literally forms macroscopic geometric structures that mirror the intention. If she focuses on a flower, the ice physically renders a petal pattern.
It's visual proof that water responds to consciousness. It has memory.
It literally reveals the intention. Water has memory.
Yes, and the author details a specific, highly relevant experiment Austin conducted involving 5G radiation.
Oh, right. Tell them about the 5G one.
So she exposed a dish of water to a harsh 5G frequency. Initially, when flash frozen, the water yielded this jagged, chaotic, and totally incoherent crystalline structure.
It looked visibly stressed out.
It looked visibly damaged by the frequency, yes. But years later, she repeated the exact same experiment with the exact same 5G exposure. The second time, the water formed a spectacular, highly coherent, beautiful geometric image.
The water adapted to the frequency.
Yeah.
It figured out how to exist harmoniously within a harsh technological environment.
It learned to master the frequency rather than being shattered by it. Now, apply this biological reality to you, directly to the human body.
Which is roughly 80% water.
Exactly.
This is where it gets incredibly practical for everyone listening. Because the human body is 80% water, our thoughts and our intentions, the media we consume, they are physically manipulating our internal geometric structure.
Every single second of every day.
But here's the gap in my understanding, and maybe you can help me out.
Sure.
If water is so intelligent that it can just adapt to harsh frequencies like 5G on its own over time, do we even need to worry about the information we consume? Won't the water in our bodies just automatically sort out the stress and the digital static?
That is a clever way to look at it. But the adaptation isn't a passive, automatic biological function. It is a reflection of consciousness. The text leans on a core Hermetic philosophy here. All is mind.
Okay, let's translate that. Hermeticism can get a bit dense.
Simply put, the Hermetic principle argues that the physical world isn't just solid stuff that consciousness occasionally interacts with. The physical world is actually a precipitation of consciousness.
It is formed by thought.
Yes. So the water in Austin's later experiment didn't adapt because of random chance or passive biology. It adapted because the overarching consciousness interacting with it had evolved.
Oh, I see.
For you as an individual, it means conscious alignment is required. It is your active, high-frequency intention, your awareness, your anticipation that dictates the geometry of your internal water.
So if you passively consume fear-based information,
your water will reflect that jagged chaos. You have to actively curate your frequency to structure your water into a receiver capable of catching the divine signal.
So to truly master these frequencies and utilize this green diamond bridge, we have to fundamentally restructure how our minds perceive the universe. We can't just slap a positive intention on top of a fearful worldview.
Exactly. We have to break out of the baseline matrix, which the text calls the gray diamond mentality.
The gray diamond, that's a new color in the mix.
Yeah, the gray diamond is the standard 2D, linear, random way of thinking. It's the belief that life is just a series of disconnected events governed by cause and effect, where you start at point A and grind your way in a straight line to point B.
And to break out of that straight, linear model, the author brings in the work of Walter Russell, which completely shatters the high school chemistry model we all learned.
It really does.
I mean, we all remember the standard periodic table of elements, right? That rigid grid of separate boxes hanging on the classroom wall. Hydrogen is in its isolated box. Oxygen is in its box. Separate.
But Walter Russell threw that grid out entirely. He mapped the elements as a continuous cyclical spiral. Think of a vortex or a tornado.
A spiral instead of a grid.
Yes. In Russell's model, elements aren't isolated building blocks. They are just different pressure states along the exact same continuous wave.
Everything is connected.
The universe doesn't operate in straight, separated lines. It operates in rhythms, cycles, integration, and mutual service. Elements flow into one another. Life isn't a ladder you climb. It is a fluid ecosystem you participate in.
So what does this all mean? Shifting from a rigid grid to a fluid spiral feels like a massive leap. If we actually manage to do this, if we stop thinking in straight lines, if we curate the water in our cells, if we project our anticipation up to the blue diamond, what does reaching the divine actually mean for a person just trying to live their daily life?
The author provides a deeply pragmatic definition for this, which I love. Divinity, in this framework, is defined as our ability to transcend perceived limitations.
Wow. Our ability to transcend perceived limitations.
Yes, it is the timeless source of direct knowing and creativity. When you shift out of that linear competitive green diamond thinking and you open the green gateway, you realize that the limits of the physical 3D world are largely illusions.
Illusions created by our reliance on old data. It's the difference between looking at a map on your phone while zoomed all the way in on Street View versus zooming out.
Oh, that's a brilliant analogy.
Thanks, because on Street View, you are thinking linearly. You only see the bumper of the car in front of you, the traffic, the concrete barriers. You feel entirely boxed in.
Right, the 3D reality.
But when you access the Green Diamond, you zoom out. You see the entire highway system, the topography, the entire globe. You see you aren't stuck at all. The physical traffic is still there down in the Red Diamond, but you are no longer limited by it because you have access to a higher dimensional vantage point.
And from that higher cyclical vantage point, you pull down the inspiration needed to navigate the material world effortlessly. By shifting from linear thinking to cyclical integrated thinking, we open the gateway.
This model really does completely redefine what it means to be human. Let's do a rapid-fire recap of the journey we've taken today. We explored the architecture of reality, with the Green Diamond serving as the ultimate water-based fourth-dimensional bridge between our heavy, physical red diamond reality and the infinite, formless blue diamond of the divine.
We examine the absolute necessity of pushing upward with our energetic frequencies, our A's, like anticipation and awareness, so that we can catch the descending downloads of true, unprecedented inspiration and intuition.
The eyes. And we confronted the very real danger of information overload. How letting AI and doom scrolling act as a funhouse mirror traps us in a loop of remixing old data, completely severing that vital connection to the blue diamond.
And we grounded all of this in the incredible physical reality of water memory, proving that our conscious thoughts and intentions physically structure the geometry of our biology.
Demanding that we adopt a cyclical, integrated view of the universe rather than a linear one. The text has a very specific term for you, the listener, as well. It calls you the Diamond Quintessence.
Which is a beautiful term.
It can sound a bit esoteric at first, but think of a fractal. Just like a single drop of ocean water contains the exact same elemental makeup as the entire sea, your individual mind contains the blueprint of the entire universe's creative power.
You are a unique fractal of the human experience.
Exactly. But you only access that immense creative power if you don't outsource it. You have to actively choose to step onto the bridge.
The ability to transcend your perceived limitations is waiting for you, but it requires you to trust your internal gateway more than you trust external algorithms.
We started this deep dive by talking about the water inside your body. You now know that 80% of your physical form is highly intelligent, holding memory, and constantly rearranging its geometric structure based on the frequencies and intentions it encounters.
It is always listening.
Always listening. So, I want to leave you with a final lingering question to mull over today. Think about the last hour of your life. Think about the conversations you've had, the thoughts you've entertained, and look at the digital content you've allowed into your mind on your screens, in your ears. Based on the frequency of what you just consumed, what microscopic geometric shape are you unknowingly asking the water inside you to form right now?